had trouble getting on. I could have a car that just saw off to the top. See, it's my nature. That's my nature.
I'd like to call
Sorry, ass up there.
Town of Daniel Council meeting for Monday, April 3rd to order. It is 6:01. Usually we always have on the agenda item number 1, which is any public comment concerning any issue that's not on the agenda. We don't have a big crowd tonight, so I don't know if you're going to have a whole lot of comment there. We'll move on to item number 2. Discussion of the unlicensed business conducted at main property, and I'm sure you kind of hard to explain. And if you wouldn't mind, just for the record, just standing up and it's a short, well, you can just sit there or short, small up, and just explain that your name for the record. And
my name's Michael McLean, and I live at 3384 South Mill Road. And I think I'm here because no good deed goes unpunished. No, let me give you the quick update and let's figure this out. My cousin and fishing buddy, Doug Green, his son, Josh and Curry Green, 2 little kids, are building a place on 3600 East. And they moved into our basement to help them save money while he was building his house. And he was supposed to be done like in the fall. And so we thought our graciousness of letting them live in our basement for free would maybe be a year. Well, life happens, and they've been there longer than he's gone. And so they're a couple of months away. In the midst of this, his landscape business, and I really didn't even think much about this, but his Green and Greener landscape business, it ended up that there ended up being more and more trucks ended up being, like, where did this come from? Well, that one's broken. And it was so...
Well, the snow plowing too.
Yeah, and then the snow plows, and then we ended up having 3 snow plows that were all, they didn't work. And so he's trying to make a buck and get his house built and do just the stuff that you do when you're helping your family kind of get through this. So I wasn't thinking, first of all, this turned out to be longer than I had expected. I'm trying to help the kid get out because it drives me a little crazy. Although, only because there's so much stuff that he's constantly fixing. So the deal is, they're hopefully going to be gone in another month or so. I asked them to, let's get rid of all this just kind of around. No, I said stuff.
I thought it was junk.
Yeah. And so I can understand the awkward, it's not my business. He's supposed to be gone. That's where we're at.
Well, that's the time frame is certainly adequate to me, and I'm glad you came in and expressed it to us, so we understand. I don't know if the council has any questions. It was on the report that we sent out, and it sounds like it's going to be taken care of here in the next month or 2, and
Right.
back to your peaceful living out
Living
there.
out there.
Yeah.
Probably hasn't been quite as peaceful, but
Well, and then if this is an invitation for you to say, well, now that the basement's empty, I got a cousin that's got some kids that needs a little help. We may end up. That's the problem when you build a big house, A, and B, we built the barn so that all this stuff could hide. And every relative we know who's got stuff says, we'd love to keep our boat up there, and so we're those guys now. So that's where
it's
we're
called
at.
evolution, I guess. Does the council have any other questions? I appreciate your time coming in. Sometimes people don't want to bother, and then we have more questions than others. So I really, we really appreciate.
And if in the interim between now and the move-in, if there's additional stuff because the 2 trucks that are there now need to be.
Well, they're going to be moved into his barn.
They're going to be going into his barn, and the roof's finally on, and so that's
The roof
coming
is on,
soon.
their house is on.
But if whoever is most concerned about it, if there's something we can do to make it, I love Daniel. I want it to be a lovely place to be. So if in that transition you guys say we need a little bit more of this, or just let me know what I need to do.
It looks awesome. I mean, you guys moved the pallets and everything's cleaned up. It looks a lot better.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
and I had, don't write this down,
Are you right?
but I just want to say this in gratitude.
He's the one that complained, aren't you?
I That was good. I love these kids. And I love them.
Okay.
But I've been asking for the, when's this gonna happen? And being able to say, because of
Now,
Well, now, what exactly is the ordinance that we broke?
okay, so it's 8:25.
825.
And that, and you can see that one, it's on the, we have a website,
A
so
website.
danielutah.org,
Okay.
and then it's codes and ordinances, and you can just scroll down there and you can read right through it.
So that you're not allowed to have a business on there, but there's a whole lot of businesses in Daniel that have a great big mess in their house. And I just wondered, really?
Come to the next meeting.
Why we're the only ones here? I mean, it seems to me that there ought to be like 7 or 8 other people that we've got a little thing against.
Well, they're
you know?
not
So I
trying to
can-
get the kids out of the
I'll
house.
leave that.
Yeah, but they should
Yeah.
get rid of the junk around the house.
See?
So I
We're
can
just
help
trying
you
to
with
help you
that,
out
we
here.
do have.
That's
several-
right. No, and in many ways, that actually is the case, and we'd love to be supportive in that as well, without being snarky or creepy, but it's such a beautiful place that it needs to be beautiful.
Well, I can help you with that. We only go out on complaints that we receive in writing.
Oh,
And so if we receive a complaint on writing, that's when I go out and investigate that.
well,
So
do those,
a lot of times he
businesses-
just complains, but he doesn't put in writing, so you don't have to do
He's
anything.
good at putting things in writing now.
Oh, see,
No,
there you
no,
go.
I'm not, no, my only thing was that being able to say to my cousin's kids, you know, we really, this is serious now, we're meeting with the
With the,
with
they're
the
getting.
township guys, and, you know, and so,
That's good.
surprise, surprise,
They're gonna
action takes place.
Yeah.
And they're not, they're great kids, and
But
I
I'm
wanna help
curious about
them.
other stuff.
Yeah, we'll write, if you have a complaint, we'll
I mean, what, do we take pictures, what do we do?
Yeah, right, and
Take
write it
pictures
down.
and write it down?
Absolutely.
That's right.
Okay,
There's-
now tell me something, does having a business, is there an arrangement so that the business that's there pays taxes to Daniels? Or something, is that why they get away with
They
it?
get a business license from the town of Daniel if they're.
From the
licensed.
town of Daniels?
Right, if they're
Yeah.
licensed to do business in the town of Daniel.
So that's why a lot of businesses can function here, because we
Right.
probably should have come in and gotten a little thingamajig.
But I didn't think it was gonna go this long.
Well, one thing, just to, so
Okay,
we've been
so I
working
see.
on there's home-based businesses, which would be, let's say, a massage therapist or a hairstylist.
Songwriting.
Songwriting, exactly, perfect. And then you have some of these ones that you're probably referring to, hey, there's some other bigger businesses, and we've
With a lot
been
of
dealing with
stuff around.
probably a year on trying to word, and we've got to a purpose now to maybe have some of these other places that people are saying, whoa, that's a bit much, to have a little more, to look at it, because over time, everything kind of revolves, and so we're just gonna make some new code that, and then that would apply still, any complaint with the signature, and then we can deal with the issue, how it is not, or how it is complying with our code.
Okay.
So in other words, the next time you have somebody in your basement, you wanna see them move along, write a complaint letter and we'll take care of it for you.
Complaint letter. Okay. Oh, all right, well, life goes on, I mean, you know.
Thank you for being so responsive, though.
Well, thank you for
And
letting us
if there's
know.
other things that, in the next few weeks, that, in addition, that we can do,
I'm sure you're aware of it, I'm sure.
we'll do it, we'll do it. Do you need us for other stuff?
No,
Not
that's
that
it.
we don't love
Thank you
being.
so
We had you on
much.
first,
But it's Gonzaga tonight, and so,
Oh,
and keep, as Chris McCarroll, who was the shootout at UBU, it's a wonderful meeting, and keep it going. I know you said it was your last, but.
no, that was, no, I'm not giving up. It was the 25th anniversary, and there's some places that we're not gonna.
Oh, there you go.
someplace. Yeah, we're,
Thank you so much.
now you guys all come to the.
Hey, by the way,
Carrie said you figured out that chart.
Great
You
program.
got it figured out.
I'm sorry, it was, I'm embarrassed by that.
It's fine, I
So
do.
the irrigation center's been there for
She was
years,
thrilled.
they are
Thanks,
for
guys.
us.
See ya.
So that's
Yeah,
Mike's,
thanks.
that's Mike's whole issue. And second. the
Okay, that was
new,
item number 2. We'll
ordinance.
move on to item number 3, which is adoption of resolution dealing with employee benefits administered by the Utah retirement system.
Included the equivalent markers.
I think we had some rewording of that from last time. Would you like me to read the resolution?
I think 10,000 plus.
Any discussion before I read the resolution? I know we had some last time. Give everyone a minute to look over it. And then doesn't it need to say this? I mean, these are the words that it needs to say.
I had before that all elected and appointed officials are part-time, and obviously, Mr. Becker puts in more time than that. So I've added that
That wording.
in there, and when and if that is no longer the case, that wording can be taken out and a new resolution adopted.
Okay.
But I was wondering if Eric prefers that it say he's currently a full-time Tier 1 employee.
I don't think that there's, I think it's just tier 1, isn't it? There's tier 1 and tier 2. I don't think there's a
Correct.
full-time tier 1.
Oh, okay. That I don't know. As it applies to the Tier 2, it is 20 hours per week or more is considered full-time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this clears that up,
Okay.
for sure.
You do that twice, don't you?
What's that?
20 hours twice.
Yeah, yeah, actually, I did the thing in last month, I had 164 hours, 20 work days, 8.2 hours a day if you do that.
I think they work
Per
more.
day.
Per day.
7 days.
Per work day.
Regulations.
And that was the thing, it said it was part-time, and as such, the
Yeah.
state, they figure your retirement based on a different rate if you're part-time than if you're full-time.
Yeah.
So that was my concern.
Did this meet your concern and?
Yep, this
Okay.
does.
Yep, go ahead and read it, and then we'll have for discussion and a motion. This would be the Town of Daniel Municipal Resolution, DR 217-04-03, effective date April 2017. Short title, Policy Regarding Retirement Benefits for Elected and Appointed Officials, whether part-time or full-time. Purpose, to establish and adopt formal policy for retirement benefits to be provided to all part-time or full-time elected and appointed officials of the Town of Daniel, if determined eligible for such. Whereas the Town of Daniel recently underwent a compliance audit with the Utah Retirement System where it was determined the Town of Daniel must institute policy regarding eligibility for benefits for Tier 2 employees. Be it resolved that the Town Council, the legislative governing body for the Town of Daniel, hereby adopts policies stating all elected or appointed officials are part-time positions, and with the exception that the town planner is currently a Tier 1 employee, eligibility for retirement coverage under the Utah Retirement System shall be administered in accordance with the statutory rules governing Utah Retirement System. Any other last discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if all the elected officials are now tier 2s, that could, is that,
We have to do 20 hours a week to meet that.
we have to do 20
Well,
or
that's
we
a
get
minimum.
up to 20?
If you've got, by chance, I thought 20 hours plus, or, I mean, 1 hour, does 1 hour count as
It's
a
my
tier?
understanding Tier 2 employees are not eligible for the retirement system.
Only Tier 1.
That's correct, it goes to 401k,
Right.
so it's a different contribution.
But it's still a contribution? Does the, I guess what I'm getting at, does the town pay for a tier 2 retirement like they do a tier 1?
Yes.
So,
If we met that circumstance where we needed to, yes, we'd have to.
so I wonder if we're, you know, are we saying here that any town official can apply for retirement as a tier 2 and the town will have to pay it?
Well, they actually have their own requirements, it was 20 hours a week.
So it is a max of 20?
Yeah, you have to still qualify.
You have to qualify.
So, and to qualify, you have to have 20 hours a week, plus you have to have an added benefit to that. So just an hourly employee won't unless we add the benefit and make them a qualifying candidate.
So an employee that's getting 30 hours still would not be a Tier 2 unless he had an added benefit.
Okay,
Going
so-
above the hourly wage.
So we're just saying they're part-time positions, we're not saying they're tier 2 employees. That's good, that's worded well. Okay.
Any other discussion? Okay.
So just,
Yep.
that kind of reads funny, doesn't it? adopts a policy stating all elected or appointed officials are part-time positions.
Well, because we don't really have a full-time, designated full-time position as far as the town. I mean, some hours you sort of put a lot in, but some folks don't put as much or not, so I kind of see how that would work.
But right now, we're saying, oh, okay. I think that is worded a little different.
Establish and adopt foreign policy.
Because even though that says that I'm a tier 1 employee, that's still saying that I'm part-time.
Yeah. So we might go just period after part-time positions.
Well, that's why I asked if it should say the town's planner is currently a full-time tier 1 employee, but you're saying tier 1 doesn't.
Doesn't make it a full-time, it's just the tier that he's in, still part-time, but he's in tier 1.
What if you just put a period after part-time positions, period, and then say the town planner is currently a tier 1 employee? And make it 2 sentences, and I think that might be enough.
Does that work for you, Eric?
Yeah, I would just, well, I would add full-time, currently a full-time tier 1 employee. Like what you said.
Okay.
But, is the town planner position a full-time position? Have we, I mean, the hours might be there to show that, but I don't know that the town has decided that the planner's a full-time position, have we? Or-
I would agree that that he is not a full-time employee, but he certainly, hour-wise, I would think. Eric, what would you classify yourself as?
Well, that's why I brought it up. I was just telling John, this last month, at 164 hours, there was 20 work days, we cut it off early. It gives me 8.2 hours a day for each work day.
I understand the hours are there, but I wonder, I mean, it comes back to this idea of having some document that says what these positions are. I have a hard time saying we have a full-time employee when I don't even know what the full-time employee does. I mean, they take care of planning, but I mean.
Well, back to that period in the sentence, you were kind of happy with that just kind of separated, or what would?
Yeah, then that's okay, as long as it states that I'm a full-time tier 1 employee.
Is currently, meaning
Is currently.
perhaps when the town opens a position to someone else.
So the town's planner is currently a full-time tier 1.
Are we sure that the town doesn't have some type of a legal issue or something with all of a sudden making the town planner a full-time position?
Well, I know from our audit, we had to do this, and then we're back here today for doing it. Now, I don't know about what you're asking,
Full-time.
you know, the full-time as far as, we need to have a resolution stating such.
I've never heard our town or been, and again, I understand the hours and the work effort might be there, but there might be more to just saying full-time position than all of a sudden saying that in a resolution.
See, and when I was on hourly, that's what I thought, we'd just stay on hourly, but that was changed to where it wasn't hourly.
And that was, yeah, that was way back.
Yeah, that was when Mike,
And so, what in your mind did they classify back then?
as an employee.
They give you the full or not, they pick you off hourly and you're an
Yep.
employee, but not.
Yeah, they kept track of my hours like we do here,
Right.
and then they took the average and that's what they gave me.
So with reading this, as far as, I mean, it's tier 1, as far as long as things go, for Eric, it's not gonna change. I'm sure you're looking at what other people may come up in the future, what this may apply for them, correct?
And just having, the town having a full-time position, I didn't know we did that, I didn't know we had that. And I wonder, really, what does full-time add to this? I don't know what full-time adds to this document that just says we're trying to clear up the Utah retirement system issues, when full-time Tier 1 employee would not mean anything to them. Tier 1 means a lot to them.
Okay.
So I guess my question is, why would it need to say full-time?
Yeah, you can back that out.
I mean, you're covered either way. Your hours prove that's covered, and anyone's hours would be, not just yours. I mean, if they have those hours, it would constitute.
It
The hours,
doesn't
so-
change Eric's retirement at all. He's
Part-time,
still,
full-time? Yes. it
you're
does.
still Tier 1.
I know, but the way they calculate part-time is different from full-time at the state retirement level.
So then saying full-time here is a big difference.
It is to Eric.
Okay, hold on. So,
Remember how much I made, $10.71 an hour?
is there, so does a full-time, as far as your understanding, is it a bigger contribution from the town? or-
It counts the entire wages towards my retirement that I make.
Oh, we're not doing
And
that now?
part-time doesn't allow that. They calculate it based on the part-time area.
But I know I just had discussions that we needed to count all that anyway.
Yeah, right. That was the discussion,
So
they
it
just
is
made us
counted.
pay.
Oh, everything that you've been paid since you started.
Right, they made us go back,
We
right?
went back,
You had to go
because I
back.
just
Had to
understood.
go back on all the blue
Yeah.
stake hours, which we thought was a separate thing. And they called up and says, oh no.
That's not a separate thing, everything, all your hours are paid.
So all your hours are being paid now, retirement, right?
Yes.
So I don't know why we need to say full-time here. Because you're already, we can't give you more, can we, or can we? Is there
No,
some-
no, the rate's there, what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't think we can give him any more.
We can, you know, it's, for me, if he would like to see that in there and it would help him for long-term and it's sixes to all of us, I don't know why we wouldn't put that in, just because can be backed up by hours anyway.
I guess the only reason I'd say is we haven't ever considered it a full-time position, we haven't recognized it as a full-time, and I don't think this resolution needs it. I think it might be a completely different resolution where we specify that, okay, our town planner is a full-time position. And we don't even have, a job description for this position. And
Everything.
There's not a long enough description for his job.
oh, there is. Oh, I see. We couldn't make it long enough.
Couldn't make it
How
long.
many,
Yeah.
how many hats?
That's what I agree with you.
Yeah.
But it still needs to be there to some extent, I think, but I'm just one vote.
Anybody else, as far as council, would like to weigh in on that? Whether there's anybody on this board, I would feel that if it helped them and we had to as a town do the benefits, I'd like to support the member. If it was some way a deterrent, either way, this is not going to increase or decrease, and it may be more comfortable for, who knows, down the road, contractual, I don't know, but Eric's the only one that's able to receive this benefit at this point, and if he feels comfortable, I'd like anyone to be on this board feel comfortable with some of the wording that we propose.
As far as something in the future, is still covered.
And we can do
Do
it
other
all.
future benefits. What about our town engineer?
Different animal.
Different animal?
You're
You're
He's
different.
hired, he's hired. Well, I guess you're hired. I don't know. There you go.
You're hiring him individually as a person, you're hiring me as a company.
Yeah.
Subcontract.
Yeah.
He's on payroll.
Yeah.
Either way, we were paying two bills, but yeah, I know, I get it, yeah.
But we do have
There's different animals out here.
water company, I know we talked about that.
Okay,
Is there anything negative that's can cause us?
I don't know, John, to me, that's the unknown. I don't know, it may or may not.
I wouldn't go back and forth as if you didn't have the hours substantially, so someone would have asked, is it full-time? Well, here's 120 hours, or whatever. That sounds like full-time to me. So, I totally see your point. I don't think we have designated a full-time town employee as far as officially but it's happening, I mean, they've been doing it.
But even
Maybe
if
it's time to set that as a full-time employee, because he certainly has for many months fulfilled that full-time
And
hours.
whether he's part-time or full-time, he should be receiving those benefits.
He would.
But is this the place, maybe this is the place to do that, I don't know. Is it the place to define that our town planner is a full-time position?
I think when it comes to retirement, it probably is on, you bet. Well, but,
I think John has a point, but I think you just need to make, I mean, his job is not going, it's not gonna diminish. It's only gonna get bigger. I
Don't
think
kill
John's
my
right.
dream.
We need, I think that you have to make a motion to make that a full-time job, because nobody can do it any better, and nobody can do it any quicker. So it should be made a full-time job, and I think that's gonna benefit him in the long run for all the benefits we gain from his service.
And I have no problem with that, except for not being on the agenda, we can't make that happen tonight. But I myself.
Well, he paid me a lot of money to say that.
1071, huh?
Agreed, so, any other discussion? If not, I'll take the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve this municipal resolution, DR-2017-04-03, as written, and with the change in planner is currently a full-time position,
Tier 1 employee.
tier 1, full-time employee.
Okay, were we gonna get the period and this different sentence in there as well?
I think we should, and that was that period there instead of a comma.
Yeah.
And was it one more period?
I think that was it.
That was it.
And then scratch with exception that, and just put the next sentence starts with it done.
Okay, the judge, there's two items. Would you like me to read it again?
Yes.
Okay. I'll read just the resolution itself, where we change some wording. Whereas the town of Daniel recently underwent a compliance audit with the Utah retirement system where it was determined the town of Daniel must institute policy regarding eligibility for benefits for Tier 2 employees. Be it resolved that the town council, the legislative governing body for the town of Daniel, hereby adopts policy stating all elected or appointed officials are part-time positions, period. The town's planner is currently a full-time Tier 1 employee, period. Eligibility for retirement coverage under the Utah retirement system shall be administered in accordance with the statutory rules governing Utah retirement systems. Any other no further discussion? Chair will entertain a motion.
You state a motion that we approve the municipal resolution as changed, number DR-2017-04-03.
Okay. We have a first, we have a second.
Second.
And we have a second. Any last discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
3-2. Resolution carries. Something over here for business license applicants.
Excuse me, Mayor, you've got the,
Oh, yeah, I gotta sign it, yes, sign it, yeah.
While that's coming around, we have two licenses for renewal, Timberline Lumber and Little Lady Lingerie. Is that right? Those are the two for this month.
Council have any questions to go over? I might ask, let's see, here, Timberline Lumber, and who's that again?
I know, we call it
Mike Ashby.
Ah, yes, I'd like to have that forever.
Mhm.
And the other one was the Little Lady Lingerie.
Karen Pearson.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
How big are their trucks?
That's a good question.
One's a Toyota.
Did you receive applications with those as well?
Yes, they're in the envelopes.
Okay.
You'll probably have to sign those applications too, Jeff. I have. I'm in training.
As in training me?
No,
Where's that, that goes?
Oh, yeah.
The document.
There's one more else on here. Okay.
that's it for the business license.
Moving on to planning department report, number 5.
Number 5, planning report. Okay, while you guys are glancing over those, I'll just go over a couple of things. We have, the interlocal is coming on the 11th in Midway City, I guess. UDOT's coming on the 11th during the day and doing a presentation in Heber City from 4 to 6. So our transportation plan that we've all been going over with the roads that we didn't think needed to be in our town, we've been trying to get off that map, should be addressed in that meeting. So hopefully we get a new map countywide that has what we actually have in our transportation plan. So we'll be working towards that.
And I just want to make a comment for a lot of the folks. This has gone on for years. Eric has shown some folks in his meetings, and the roads appear and then they disappear, and they ask them where they went, and they don't know. And it's kind of amazing how this happens. I just wanted to make a little comment that Eric's on top of that road, and man.
Been nuts, hasn't it?
Been a wild ride.
Been nuts. Also, Lynn gave me this, just the Department of Interior. They're doing with trying to streamline the process of filling in these canals with pipes. And so what they've asked, it's a programmatic agreement is what the Bureau's trying to do. So they're trying to eliminate and mitigate some of the issues that would be up front as we do these. And this will be basically valley-wide.
You're talking about DIC project.
That's one of them. That could, same thing, they could streamline that process had this agreement been in place. And so what they was asking for is people to be on and be a part of that process as we go through those. So I've written down to the Department of the Interior, and they will be updating us and the Daniel Town Board as we go through this and do that agreement. So that when we come to some of these items that we looked at, will be addressed prior to the environmental assessment or the environmental study if it goes to that point. So everybody, you get to those points where it just goes to a environmental assessment and then of course finding of no significant impact. And so that's what they want to hit, and so we're hoping that they can, by working with the Department of Interior, we can take care of any issues that we may have as far as a municipality, and that would be, like I said, valley-wide. Government entities, any issues we would have with the piping project, any mitigation that we may need to be looked at. That's what they're gonna try and get in front of, so. Bit new, so we'll be on that list. I did make contact with them.
Good.
Okay, anybody got any questions on the,
Yeah, the very last one, Summit Engineering, Ryan Taylor and Mark Johnston. What, Highway 40, Town Enterprise, what was that about? Was that about the McAllister?
no, this is a separate meeting we had with Mike Johnson of Summit Engineering. He's looking at several properties out along Highway 40 in our enterprise zone, looking at, I guess, a map towards rezoning some properties into commercial zone out in that area.
So what's Mike Johnston's interest in doing that?
He has a client he's working for, he's an engineering firm.
Oh, yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, he has a client that he's trying to put everything together for him to see if this is even feasible.
To see if some property along 40 could be zoned commercial?
Yeah.
Was there suggestions made or decisions made at all there?
I don't think the decisions were made. We told him it is in the enterprise zone. There was a lot that has to come together before he would move forward with that. And that's what he wanted to know, is if we had any, if the town had a roadblock, they could, so.
Okay.
It was really a pre-meeting.
On the Rosie Jessup land use verification.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 of them there. You'll notice some of those names are realtors. So we've just been inundated.
Same
Ryan-
lots or just?
No, different lots, and Ryan's had the same thing. We've just been inundated by people calling on lots for land use verification, what can happen there, what can't happen there. And so we've just had a ton of calls about that. You see Gina Luke, Rosie Jessup. I mean, it's just been crazy. It has been.
Is there any way that you or Ryan, that we could simplify it so they're not bothering so much, or that's just the way it is?
Yeah, if we don't answer the phone.
I mean, Lynn gets them too, don't you, Lynn?
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure.
forward them on
Oh,
the
okay,
next.
It happens every year. I mean, some years are worse than others, but it comes up in the spring and it seems like again in the fall. It just kind of one of those things.
And especially with the house up there in Storm Haven that what recently got foreclosed on. I don't know where they advertised that house, but everybody reads it. I don't know if it was Heber Valley, go Heber Valley. Man, I'll tell you, there was a lot of questions on that property.
Could, do we have a zoning map on our page that they can just go to and?
Yes,
That's colored, that's simple, that someone can read?
yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen that particular.
And I refer to there, but the problem becomes, well, there's not 5 acres there. It's an RA5.
Oh, there you go. So he's gotta have a conversation no matter what.
Yeah.
The people that call are gonna call no matter what you put online.
Okay.
I mean, especially the realtors, it doesn't matter if you put their answer, you know, an FAQ and, you know, their question is number 1, they're gonna call and ask anyway. And to me, usually it's faster to just answer their question than it is to refer them to the website, get them to call back in 10 minutes and ask the same question anyway. Say, okay, I looked at your website now.
Now I have
answer
some
my
questions.
Right, okay.
And so
Explain.
I mean, it's usually the fastest way I found to get through it is just answer their questions and move on. You know, the best one I've got this year so far. So the RA5, so what do I have to do to get 1/4 acre lots in the RA5 zone?
Right.
That's come up a couple times.
Yeah, and last month, you remember I told you about the P160 zone, and the guy wanted to know how to do 1/3 acre lots in the P160 zone. It's like, basically, we have to fill the council seats, I think.
Council seats and,
Okay, I know.
put in, sewer
I mean,
system.
that's pretty hard. And that was a realtor too.
Then they could be
Angie
running for
Townley.
council.
She's an individual that was checking into that same property. And so they had questions, okay, there's a house there now, it's on a cinder block foundation, what can we do? And so there's those issues. And then, of course, now we have a new FEMA floodplain map that goes along through that area, so there's,
How much wider is there any much difference?
I don't think there's a lot of difference down in that area, just because of what happened with this lowering the road.
Didn't we have a new map like 4 or 5 years ago that we kinda went through when we kinda signed on to that agreement?
Yeah, right after the last flood. Remember the Terry Updale was sandbagging in her backyard. So there was a lot of that that's going on, so. These houses have been built, and we got a ton of them in there that have all been built, and now all of a sudden there's a new floodplain that nobody knows about.
That's where my mind was going.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have that all the way down through there.
That's why I bought one I bought.
Any other questions on that?
This is back to a question on if we're getting the questions answered right. It seems like an expensive way to have people call Ryan and us pay engineering fees for a phone call to answer these questions, is there a more efficient way for us to do that? How do you bill us for that, Ryan? Is it,
Intermittently,
yeah?
honestly, I mean, it depends. If I'm sitting at my office and my timesheet's open and it's a long call, I usually remember to put in a quarter hour. A lot of times, if I get a phone call on my cell phone when I'm on my way to a meeting, I take the phone call, and by the time I get to fill out my timesheet at the end of the day, I forgot about it.
Okay,
So I'd say I get about half of them in my
Yeah.
timesheet.
And mine's the same way, Joe. I'll get these called out on the road and I'm just like, you know, what do you do?
Yeah, I agree, and I want to somehow, I don't want to be paying an engineering fee to answer that type of a question, but we can't shove them all to you because you're already too busy, so is there a solution that you guys see other than what we're doing?
I don't see a solution. I mean, I work for these people that own property in the town. That's just how I look at it. I work for those folks, and if they're looking to buy and move into our town, then, I mean, that's their due diligence, is to find that information out, if they're doing that.
I think one thing we can do as I get more familiar with my new setup, is we've got a lot of talented folks there that aren't engineers, but bill out at lower rates. They're still more than 1071.
Yeah, more than 1071.
But a lot less than me, and I think that they could answer a lot of the questions, and then
Thanks,
refer
Ron.
to me on the harder questions.
Maybe I'm the only one that has concern about that.
No, that's why I brought it up too. I mean, I just, there may not be an answer now, and yeah,
Chip has some.
he does.
I'm getting a lot of the same thing, except my information is put out through Kathy Jo Percy instead of Lynn. Because a lot of times you'll have people that want to know about the water, they want to know about the sewer, or prospective buyers. But I'm getting a lot of those myself. And
How they getting your number? Just because they all have your number now, the realtors?
well, they can be getting it from a friend or a neighbor that's got a water bill, or they get somewhere with Kathy Jo, or I don't know. I mean, it's out there. But,
Yeah, for sure.
and there's a lot of bad news that comes with that. I mean, you know, sometimes we have to tell these folks, well, there's no more hydrants or no more boxes that are being put in that area, or we have big sewer problems. A lot of bad news sometimes you have to give people. But on the other side of that, we try to do everything we can to accommodate the town and the citizens and the public. But, you know, I'm thinking about getting one of those clocks like my attorney has. When the phone goes off, I push a button and it tells who it is every second you bill it.
I know you're not billing for every second, so that might help.
How much is that for?
You bill that to the town.
Okay. Just say your attorney pays for that clock, so I know how much it costs him.
Is it billed to the?
But the only reason I bring that up is I don't know if there is a feasible way to get away from that. Unless you have some kind of a customer service line in the town.
And it back charges them a dollar.
And then I don't think you have the expertise to back that up. You've got to have some.
That's the problem.
I was just
now.
gonna say, that's the key, one of the keys, because every time that someone comes to me, if I know it, I tell them, but I still say, but you better double check. And so with either Ryan or Eric, and so, I mean, you know, they take my time to tell me the whole story, I know it, but I still, you know, they need to go to the right places, and I think that the right information, I might be close, but I wanna make sure that it comes from the right mouths, as far as I'm concerned.
But Casey can back this up a little bit because he's familiar with the Storm Haven, Crazy Acres, Tommy Lane. I think there's 3 lots that are up for sale up there right now.
There was one that was just listed, I was just jogging through the neighborhood and I seen that new sign down there between Gregory Belt and Susan Lovely. That's owned by the, I don't know their name, but they're right next to Susan Lovely. And that wasn't for sale like a week ago, but now, I knew the parcel was there.
But it just about went out to market through a realtor and it said water and sewer available. And that particular lot does not have either.
Well, said available, just means that they
Not
have
to
to run it
them.
a lot longer. Like to Hebert.
No letter.
Call Park City.
But anyway, that's just to kind of put more knowledge out there about what these two gentlemen are talking about.
So there's a need, we just, and I can see how it would be a hard one to solve, because of the, I know myself personally, I want to talk to a human. I don't want to sit there and read it. Maybe my understanding of it close, but maybe no cigar, so I want to be reassured by somebody. But you guys can't think of a better economical way to satisfy the customer. I mean, I can't either myself.
I think the calls need to go to them because it's gonna cut out a lot of problems possibly in the long run if that wrong information gets out. And then these people put forth a lot of money and time into it, and then they come back and talk to Ryan and they're like, you can't do that. And then they're like, well, I was told I could.
Yeah.
That is, it is to give bad information when they're saying, hey, I'm interested in this property. Try to talk to somebody after they just closed. And you're like, yeah, well, you got some really bad information, I'm sorry, but.
And don't get us wrong, we still get that now.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, if you feel bad telling somebody that, it's advertised with water and sewer and there's no water and sewer, talk to the guy after he closed and he thought he had water and sewer.
My only concern is, when Ryan answers the phone call, it's $40 for these 15 minutes. When Eric answers it, it's $2.50.
I'm feeling
And
it.
that's,
Suddenly I'm
He's not
depressed.
full-time.
that's just not right. That's just wrong. We should, if I was a businessman, I wouldn't have a single phone call go to Ryan. Right? And then I would be being unfair to Eric. So I think
He's done my next phone call. What do you
needs
want
to
for
be
$2?
done, but I don't know what it is.
Well,
That's the rock and the hard spot.
we're gonna get, we're
Right there.
going down the funnel every day, every month, every year, to these things.
I think Ryan's suggestion of having a less expensive person answer those types of calls would be very helpful.
And we can work to it, as, like I said, as I get familiar with different capabilities, I think, I've started doing that, I think that can expand. And I guess to your point, the difference is if it's Friday afternoon and Eric is on the clock and working, I think that people call and get their answer from Eric. The problem with his other jobs and other things, sometimes he's not available and they need an answer, and that's when they call me.
I
And so,
understand. So are you the first call, Eric?
I don't believe that they call me first. I don't know.
A lot of Lynn, a lot of me, and maybe Ryan.
I mean, the county sends people to me, but I don't know.
Is there a number on the website? I mean, how are they
How do
deciding
they
if we should
figure out
give
who
them?
to call?
I don't know. If I could figure that out, I could stop.
Done.
I don't know if there's one on the webpage as far as Eric's number. I mean, there's certainly the emails, but I don't know that there's some number, but.
Yeah, there's a lot of, all of our email things on there, but I don't know how they get my number. I don't.
Is there any way that we could go on our webpage and put in like the lot, and then put in that information for that lot, saying whether there is sewer or water hookups, the restrictions for building that, and then refer them to that first, and it might take care of their questions, and then have them call you back?
They won't do it. They'll just pick up the phone and call.
what that will do is the gal I'm talking about in my office, she'll, what's it regarding, and she'll check the list to see if I've already done that, and if I have, they'll have that interface, and if there's a question she can't answer, she'll refer them to me. But you can put it online, they're still gonna call.
Eric, would you be satisfied with the quality if Ryan had a lesser paid person answer some of those calls?
I would be if it was quality. As we've seen from our last engineering firm, some people aren't qualified to answer them.
Yeah, I understand.
But Ryan said his lower pay is still higher than yours.
Exactly.
So
Stop.
Stop reminding.
what do you mean?
We got a drinking problem.
Why don't you put a number on the webpage, a phone number, for those kind of questions. Get a cell phone account, and you need to leave a message what you need, and then you'd have to be specific about returning our calls, but you could do it on your time schedule. And then all the calls go to him, and he returns them when he can. So just record them, and that gives you time to find the proper answer and give them an educated response.
I don't want to speak out, but I think that he's got 2 phones now, and I think that kind of is what he's doing now, Eric.
Well, it's good to have one you don't have to answer.
Don't
have to answer
I've only got one number, not a second one.
Your landlines?
There should be a landline with an answering service on it for that
Yeah.
matter.
Well, and that's what happens Friday, is I take all those calls all week, goes to my voicemail. If I don't get back to them till Friday, fine, then Friday I start
That's it.
calling down the list.
That's the only way to do it.
And so that's what we're doing now.
Yeah, and I tell folks, it's like, I know sometimes you may get you through the week, but Friday's the day, and once in a while, I may not even get to you on Friday, because we're all volunteers. The ones that
Yeah.
press us hard, why not? But normally, he's getting to them,
Well, there's some people get way agitated. They're way mad.
And I'd say that a large fraction of what I get are calls, I've left a message for Eric yesterday, and he hasn't got back to me. I need an answer.
Yeah, they're way frustrated. And so more often I have to explain that when I call them back. We're a little town, we don't have a full-time office here, and so.
Just to make you feel better, I put phone calls into Heber City zoning department, not even got a phone call back.
Oh, that's handy.
That's after a month, huh?
Yeah, so.
We'll take that as a compliment.
Let's
So,
put their
yeah.
number on our.
Yeah.
So you've had questions that you've left on an answer machine that haven't even got a call back?
Right.
All right. Well,
And my personal message, first in person to some international phone there.
Should we have those?
You're not too far out of line, Eric.
Should we refer those people just to show up at the town meeting or town planning? They'll take care of them? No.
I really think that most of these people get response and are satisfied. It might be not as quick as they want, but it seems to go in the right place eventually.
And they finally understand after a few days. I mean, I know they're antsy, they're all antsy, but then once it gets done, then they're happy as a bird.
I just tell them to call the mayor if they're unhappy.
Oh my gosh, call them that.
You know, one conversation might end, well, you'll be hearing from my attorney, and then a couple of days later, they called back and said, we've thought this through, and we will work with you a little bit better, and what is it we need to do? And everything gets worked out, but in most cases, that I've been involved with anyway.
We're gonna talk about a case here in a little bit.
Which one?
This is in the water department, if there is a case or not, that's all.
Well, I think everything's pretty calm right now, I think.
One water valve, but we'll get to that section.
Oh, okay.
So, John Smith.
Yeah, John.
So Ryan, how many of these calls would you get a week?
Like I said, it's variable. Through March, I probably got two or three a day.
Okay, I think we need to do something there.
But then, come May, I probably will get one a week. I mean, it's just, over the year, it's not bad. It's just that they all come like right now.
So John, so if he's saying that he could have somebody else for now until we can solve the problem, we
Well,
can't shuffle it here, but if we can shuffle it down over there, is that something that, I don't know if we need to have a motion as much as Ryan can say he can do that, a competent person.
Do you have a receptionist there at your office?
Yeah.
When there's a call coming in on a certain property, you could, like I say, you could probably just, here's the restrictions on that property.
Well, so I think I can, when I take the first call, and they have the what's it zoned, with the water and sewer bill, it's a fairly typical list of questions, maybe
Yeah.
unique to the property, but the second realtor is gonna answer the same ones. I can type those up in an email and send it to her. And the second phone call that comes in, she can say, well, what's it regarding? Well, can I help you? Okay, well, actually, I have the answers to 4 or 5 questions.
Yeah.
And then Eric doesn't have to take it. And I know that there's the rate problem, but there's also just the number of hours in a day that Eric doesn't have. And so, I think to a point we're handling the overflow. And I'm not saying it's, from a business perspective, I see what you're saying, John. From a practical, trying to get back to people, it seems like it gets the job done, but it's certainly not the most efficient.
What, can I ask the council what they think of the phone number on the website? And then maybe having a cell phone and doing that? Or do we want to have Ryan?
Well, whoever would want that cell phone, but it gets back to the right information. And so I think if someone's talking to any one of us besides Eric or Ryan, we're gonna probably know, hopefully, most of their answer, but maybe they have a caveat we don't know, and we gotta send them there anyway. Like, they both said no matter what, they're ending up calling them, even if they had the information in front of me. Yeah, I got it right here, but I can't find it. Oh, there it is. I don't know, we've seen it all, but I agree with you. There ought to be, there's gotta be a better way. It just may not be the way we're organized as we speak, but,
So do we want to think about that and maybe address it in another meeting or something?
sure.
How do other little towns do it?
We wear a lot of hats. I mean, there's towns that wear, I mean, there's, yeah. I mean, you know, there's people, I mean, Eric's wearing a lot of hats, and all of us probably wear a few hats, but I look at Interlochen, who just became a town, and they had no idea how many positions they all had to fill to meet the requirements of a town, so, yeah.
Interlochen, for example, they pass, that you call a lot of different people and you get a lot of different answers, and then you have to decide which one you like the best.
And then you end up with an attorney because so-and-so said something, and
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, and my preferred method is email. I can refer back to that email, and there it is.
It's all
This is
written.
what and I've had to tell people that.
Yeah, have them
Well, you
do-
said,
have them
and I said,
review
oh,
an
you got that
email
right.
and respond back with an email every time, that's perfect.
Yeah, I like to do email. There's some people that don't like to do email, but,
That's the safest way to do it.
yeah.
You never told me that.
Yeah, I did, right here.
Yeah, I can produce the email.
Yeah.
That's weird. It says right here at 10 o'clock, you sent this to me, it says this. So, I mean, it's hard to refute, but.
John, not to leave you, so would you like to have it on next month's agenda to discuss
Yeah.
what may happen?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
and maybe have Ryan and Eric think about what would work best for them and
okay, so as far as an agenda item, the verbiage, just what, discussion of, for Lynn's purposes?
discussion of land use verification questions.
Or,
Who's gonna handle it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the process for land use
Responsibilities
verification
and process,
questions.
yeah.
I mean, if you're asking Eric, they all go to Ryan.
Funny, I had almost the same answer.
we're gonna discuss that next month.
My questions, when I got a hold of Heber City, went right to Tony Kohler eventually. It just went right up the ladder to the top guy.
Did it?
Anyway,
Well,
but I had some difficult questions for him.
there's no simple answers in this. There is not. I mean, there's just so much going on. Especially in this town, where I was involved with planning prior to us being a town, there are certain property restrictions on some properties out here that folks have got that aren't really written down anywhere. I mean, they are, but they're in minutes on something. Nobody knows. And so when something pops up, it's like, wait a minute. This lot is not a legal lot. There won't be nothing to it, so.
Well, we want to promote getting those answers before somebody's taken the lead.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that in the long run saves you a lot of money and a lot of headache and a lot of time. I don't think you want to discourage those questions.
Oh, not discouraging at all, it's just sometimes you just don't have a good, solid
Way to handle
answer
it.
till whatever time you do.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, John? Okay, Eric, back to you.
Okay, so now I wanted to hit on the Smith. Nobody asked about the Smith.
Hold on here.
On the lot line adjustment number
Oh,
one.
okay, right.
So the water meter has been moved.
Over the 10 feet or whatever.
Yes,
needed to be
they
moved.
put in a new one, left the old one in its original spot. So everything's done on there except for we have one lot line they have to move.
Yeah, I talked to them this morning, they're gonna have that ready to record this week.
Okay.
And so the Mylar's
Is that the
waiting.
letter you're?
Yeah, so the Mylar's sitting on the mayor's desk waiting for that other letter so they can be recorded at the same time.
Okay, so everybody's on board with that? Remember what happened up there?
Yep.
Okay, rolling
What
along.
happened to the meter that's abandoned?
It's just sitting there until somebody,
And it's hooked up, it has a setter in it?
Yes.
No meter?
Correct.
So in order to engage that, you would just bring the water line in, hook
that, Ken.
to the setter, the meter. Right.
So they
It'll
hook
have-
up their lateral and we put a meter in it?
yeah, and they'll have to come down and do that swing because of the 6 foot.
What's the biggest water line that would ever be in that subdivision? Only one lot.
It's only one lot, so I would run, if it were me, I would run a 1 or a 1 1/4 inch.
I don't know. County's up fighting right now over how much water you have to have for fire falls.
And the
I meant for culinary, fire flow's a whole nother
And the
ballgame.
private well that's in the middle of the road, that's a civil matter?
It is. Because it's